Okay, we're on.
Hello, hello. Welcome to
Hello.
our podcast.
Yes. So today we're going to continue our last episode that is about differentiation and more specifically about intervention. So today we brought a little uh, research paper that is talking a little bit about misinterventions, right? So if you're new here, I'm Débora Affonso,
I'm Vanessa Pinto.
and we're running, if I'm not mistaken, we're running the 12th or 11th episode.
11. 11!
Yes.
Yay!
And bear with us. We like talking a lot, uh, but we want to bring a little bit of discussion here and um, just put a little bit of, give you a little bit of food for thought, right? So, should I share my screen?
Yes, I think that would be good. Yay.
Okay, so this is a research paper that was published by Dr. Jennifer Barker and Peps Mccrea. Um, I was doing a quick research about Peps Mccrea because I have seen his face all
hmm
over the place. And he has published some interesting books, at least by the title. I never read anything from him. Uh, but he's really passionate when he's talking about education. So this paper has to do with, of course, evidence and how SEN interventions can be misleading because of the kind of evidence that um, is actually not produced. And sometimes when we are in the classroom, we feel, okay, just going to use this and it's going to work. And then 3 minutes later, 2 months later, we realize, oops, that's not working. So, do you want to talk a little bit about the first one?
Well, you have to read for me because it doesn't appear on my screen because your name is
Okay.
on it. Yeah, can you read the number one for me, please?
Number one is fidget spinners. So that is something that is pretty common in the classrooms.
Yes.
Uh, and it's funny because I had a colleague saying something about this like a month ago. She
Mhm.
was like, I cannot stand these fidgets anymore. I have like 5 students in my classroom that are using them, but I cannot concentrate. I cannot teach because they're
Mhm.
noisy, because they distract the other students. Okay, what's your take on that, Vanessa?
Fidget spinners. I'm gonna be honest. I have never the spin. Does it have to be spinner or any kind of fidget we're gonna talk about?
The research was specific about spinners, but we
Mm-hmm.
can just put fidgets in general.
Because like I have never used fidget spinners as an intervention in my class. I did use for a long time it as a tool for teaching. So, for example, to play games with the kids, so they would have to see how many words they read while the spinner was spinning,
Hmm.
and things like that. So, incorporating the spinner in the classroom, but as a fun way of learning, not necessarily as a tool, like something for intervention. I do use a lot like something that I have for my kids would be, for example, like things under the desk. You know, when you just glue Velcro under the
Hmm.
desk,
Hmm.
because some kids they just need the texture. It's just
The
like the
sensory
pressing,
input.
yeah, the sensory input. Just putting it on something like then you have some poppets that you can put it down there so they can be popping it or things like that. So I
Hmm.
do have some things like this. But it's just like for specific kids. And I use it a lot in my calming center, in my calming area of the
Yeah.
class.
Yeah.
So because I do a work with my kids on where they are very like when they are not controlling their emotions, and it can be like because they're frustrated or because anything. Then we talk about like having a flexible mindset, understanding that at this time you cannot concentrate. So we use the calming center as an area to regroup. And then I do
Mhm.
have a basket there of things like soft things and things that they can use so they can breathe and they can regroup.
Mhm.
But I don't use them only as a strategy on for specifically ADHD kids. I
Mhm.
wouldn't.
Yeah, and that is something that sometimes is misunderstood, is that, oh, this kid is ADHD, let's just give them fidget, because that's going to calm them down. And
Hmm.
it's not that simple. For some kids, the spinner is just going to uh, stimulate them even more,
Hmm.
in the sense that it's going to make them even more hyper, right?
Hmm.
So it's really important that whenever you're thinking of an intervention, that you're thinking uh, as a targeted tool or strategy to that specific kid, right?
Hmm.
So this is what this paper is about. Is about using fidgets and using the other intervention as not targeted to that specific kid, that has that as a strategy to help with their learning, right?
Yes. And I like that, like on the paper, it says that the quality of the evidence, right? So it's low, moderate.
Hmm.
So it's like convergent. They cannot actually like relate it to the benefit for the kid
Yeah.
with specific examples.
The second one is about colored overlays or tinted lenses. Do you use these overlays?
I use them with my kindergarten kids. I do have a specific group of kids that I use it um, for monitoring for them to not lose track of where they are. So I do have like I have a ruler that in the middle it's tinted and then it's different colors and then we just use it so they can know which line they are reading.
Hmm.
And I also have another one that it's like it's kind of a sign, but it's like transparent and it has it's colored. And then they use it for each
For
word they are
yeah,
reading.
yeah, yeah,
Yes. So I think they are more beneficial than a pointer or because they just see the different color, but not as. I remember once I read something about that maybe for dyslexic kids and changing the color, and but at the same time, there's not enough studies that prove or not
hmm,
prove, so
yeah,
it's always controversial. But I do use for this specific group of kids because for them, it's a tool that makes them keep focus or
yeah.
like they can stay focused on that task
Hmm.
and keep going. And for me, I can just look at them and see if they're moving or not, like see where they are or they're not. Because if they're
Yeah,
just reading, it's harder for me to know if they are moving forward or if they're just staring at the paper.
yeah. You cannot really
So,
track their eye to see where,
yep,
right?
yep,
I think it's interesting because I have the same tools, but not the ruler. I have
hmm,
one. Um, it's the size of a phone, like this,
uh-huh,
but is translucid and it has one
okay,
line. And I have it in four different colors, and I have the
hmm,
little sign as well in the different
okay,
colors. And I used those for 5 years already. And with some specific kids, it worked really well.
hmm,
And it was not just the dyslexic kids. I had, and I tested which color would work better for them.
hmm,
Um, but for some kids, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't help them
hmm,
at all. And I go,
yes,
okay, try this one. And the kid wasn't reading full stop. He wasn't ready to read yet. And I was,
Mhm.
no, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try this color. I'm gonna try this
Uh-huh.
sign. I'm gonna try
Mhm.
everything. And then I went, it's not possible. It's not possible that these things are
Uh-huh.
not helping him. And then I asked
Mhm.
him, okay, which one is better for you? And he said, it doesn't really matter. The letters
Mhm.
are all dancing anyways. I'm like, okay, interesting. So
Mhm.
then I started paying attention to other things, and then I managed to help him in different ways. And
Mhm.
for this specific kid, having he used to read like this with a finger following,
Uh-huh.
not just the
Oh,
the
okay. It was
point.
like the.
He would go under the word like it's the little
Mhm.
sign, but
Mhm.
not with the little sign because for him it was difficult because of a sight thing.
Uh-huh.
He had struggle with sight, so it was uh, it was
Okay.
worse with the little sign. Um,
Mhm.
Now he's reading, so yay, fantastic.
Yes.
Something
Yes.
worked along the way. Uh,
Mhm.
but some people say, and sometimes we receive that from uh, admin staff
Mhm.
saying, look, you need to have this in your classroom in case a kid is struggling. You just give this
Mhm.
to them. You cannot just give that to them. That's not what's
Yeah.
going to make them really
Overcome. Yep.
overcome the barrier, right? Uh,
Mhm.
but we can try because sometimes that's the one thing that we have right then and right there that's actually going to help them. Because for
Yes, I do
some,
have from the reading, sorry. And from the reading, like this group specifically, I use different strategies. Every day I use a different one. So one day we get the ruler, the other day we get the signs, and then the other day we get the telephones
yeah,
where
the
they can
whisper
read
phone.
it to themselves. Yeah, the whisper phones. So it's like every day I use a different strategy, but those are not my kids that are diagnosed with or that have any IEP,
Hmm.
especially because in kindergarten it's very hard to have kids that already have a diagnosed.
Yeah, yeah.
The ones that have it's usually like development.
Hmm.
It's not a specific or what on the development that we're looking at. So it's still a little bit of try and error,
Yeah.
but I do feel that for my kids that are having like that do not have strategies, and I think that's what I use it for. It's like creating and providing different strategies for them
Hmm.
to see that something might happen,
Hmm.
something might help you. Like I've seen with my kids that are bilingual, usually the whisper phone is amazing because they don't recognize when they're just sounding it out. But when they whisper it to themselves, they can
Hmm.
hear the word and they're like, oh, I've heard the word already in my life. And then it's a faster communication with their own brain because they
Yeah.
can hear what they are
Hmm.
trying to read.
Yeah.
So, well, but it's just like building the strategies.
Yeah. I think the next one is one of the most common ones, zones of
Hmm.
regulation. And kids nowadays, I feel that they struggle a lot to have awareness of their emotions and feelings because the amount of time that is spent with other adults and other kids is different nowadays. So usually we just talk about emotions and feelings when things are bad.
Yep.
Depending on how you run your classroom, you're not going
Hmm.
to prioritize the feeling good. You're just going to bring awareness for things are bad.
Yes.
And but at the same time, when kids really have the vocabulary and they can really understand what's happening, it's amazing.
But I don't think this is an intervention type of work.
No, it's a
I
tool.
think this is a classroom work.
Hmm.
Like we have to develop the culture of our whole classroom when we talk about that. So there are two things that I did this year that I'm very proud of, and probably my boss doesn't even know that I did that like faithfully in my classroom. But there is one person. She has, I think it's called the Spots of Emotions. Her name is Diane Albert. She has a whole program on emotions,
Mhm.
and it's all types of emotions. So she has all the spots, and each spot is one of the emotions. And she has songs. So for example, like every day I started, like every month I chose one emotion songs that we would start singing, and we sang like the whole month we were singing that song. And like she has one alphabet of emotions. It's super nice because it gives the vocabulary of different emotions that kids didn't even like. There were lots of them in the beginning. They would say, what does that mean, Miss Pinto? What's the difference between this and that?
Yeah.
And I think just opening it up so we can actually talk about the different emotions, that was one thing that was really good in my classroom. So we had the day of like the kindness part. She has like the books that go along with the
Mhm.
videos. You can find a lot of things online, like on her YouTube channel. Um, but like the kindness week, for example, I like kindness spot is yellow. So I had like all the yellow spots, and every time I saw someone being kind or someone saw someone being kind, they could get a spot and put it on that person.
Mhm.
So you were being spotted being kind. And they were so happy because at the end of the day, like they had like 3 or 4 spots. Like, oh, I was
Yeah.
kind so many times. And so, but just like bringing awareness of these moments more than the moment that I'm freaking out, I think that's a good strategy. The second thing that I did in my classroom was talk to my kids about the 8 executive functions of the brain.
Mhm.
And that was amazing because there's so many things that we get frustrated, not because we don't know or we are not good enough, but we get frustrated because we are not organized.
Mhm.
We get frustrated because we're being stubborn. We get frustrated because, and there's so many reasons. So at the end of the year, I had one kid that would get frustrated and something, but then one day he was doing something like he stopped and he was like, I was going to do that, but I don't think it's good. And then I talked to them about like fixed mindset and flexible, right? And he's like, I'm going to have a flexible brain now, Miss Pinto, and I'm going to walk away. And he just walked away. And it was beautiful just because he used the words and because he
Yeah.
understood that, like, this is my pattern,
Mhm.
but I'm not going to follow my pattern. And the executive functions talk about organization, like making lists, and there's so
Yeah.
much more than it's not just about emotions, but all the things that our brain needs to develop so
Yeah.
we can be like good functional people, I would say, like something like that. Like for us to be able to function well and to overcome problems like that are parts of our brain that we need to develop, and
Yeah.
we only develop our brain, like our brain is a muscle, we have to work on
Yeah.
it. So like that
Mhm.
was the whole analogy. It was pretty cool. Like my kindergarten kids did awesome on that. Like they might not remember it, they might not, like they will remember the song, they will remember one other thing, but I
Mhm.
think like I had got many like emails from parents saying, oh, my child was talking about like this today. What does that mean? So I
Yeah.
think it's interesting.
Yeah. One of the things that this paper says is about these ready-made systems, right? And how
Mhm,
we have to be careful when we're using this. We're going to talk a little bit more later on.
mhm.
But it's important that we give them the understanding, but we don't need to be very strict and just follow that kind of program
Oh,
because that's going to be what's going to save everything,
yeah, no,
right?
no. Mhm,
And thinking about examples, I had an example. Um, so my curriculum is really tight, and I tried to incorporate some things with my group this year because they had a lot of work that needed to be done in terms of executive functioning. So I started some um, um, activities with them to help them with working memory, with organization, with
mhm.
self-regulation, really understanding I
Yep.
have to use my stop button and things like that.
Mhm,
And I put visuals on around the classroom. And I had one kid, he was really frustrated that day, and he turned his frustration into anger.
Mhm.
So the way that he dealt with anger was shutting down. So
Mhm.
he pretended nobody was there, but you could see he was like
Mhm.
he was just holding it, and
Mhm.
he was about to burst. And
Mhm.
then I just went next to him and I didn't say anything. I didn't acknowledge that he was frustrated, that he was
Mhm.
angry or anything, because that wouldn't help him because I know how he goes.
Mhm.
He doesn't like being told that things are not
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
So then I just stayed close to him and I started just like that. And I
Uh-huh.
carried on with the lesson and blah blah blah. And
Mhm.
then at some point he just raised his hand and he said, "Can I go to the red poster?" And I went,
Mhm.
"Sure." He went there.
Mhm.
2 seconds later, he comes back. "Can I have a piece of scrap paper?" I said, "Sure. What for?" "No, I'm going to crumble the paper. I'm going to screw the paper and I'm going to throw it in the bin. Because right now
Mhm.
I have big emotions and I just have to do something about them." I'm like,
That's
"Okay,
awesome.
sure." That moment I was like, "Okay, someone is listening."
Yes.
Yay!
Yes. That's
That's a big
awesome.
win, right?
Mhm.
But that's the thing. Some kids there, that's not for them. It's
Yep.
not going to make a difference for them because they don't need that. But if you
Mhm.
keep just pushing, okay, we're going to work on this intervention,
Mhm.
let's say this system
Yep.
today, you're not going places, right?
Mhm. Yep.
And then we go to the next one that is universal mindfulness in school. So we're talking about systems now. So when you
Yes.
follow the school buys that outstanding program of mindfulness and everybody's going
Mhm.
to sit for 10 minutes and do yoga
Yeah.
poses and everybody
Yes.
has to do that. No, right?
Mhm.
Some kids, they are not going to benefit from it. And
Mhm.
um, for some students, doing that kind of activity, using that kind of
Mhm.
strategy, is going to be actually bad for them because they are not having any kind. They're thinking about their actions. They're thinking about what they're doing, but they don't have someone that is going to actually
Mhm.
help them know what to do after they have the
Yep.
awareness.
Mhm. Yeah, like, can I read what is written there? It says, like,
Yes.
what the evidence shows. Largest UK trial found no effect on adolescent mental health with possible harm for at-risk students. That's very strong, and the evidence was strong. So I think that says a lot.
Yeah. So we need to be really careful with some things. So, for example, just going a little bit off topic here, we had a gallery walk with some of the professional development that teachers had to do throughout the year. And then they
Hmm.
trial some things with students, and then they have to show the evidence and what kind of activities they actually did with students. And
Hmm.
then they were talking a little bit about the use of AI
Hmm.
and what students do if they are using AI.
Hmm.
And they mentioned that some students are using as emotional support,
Hmm.
which is like it's bad, right?
Yes.
But then we asked the teachers if there was a way that they could backtrack and see who was doing that and if they were going to do anything about it. And they said,
Hmm.
yes, that's being done. The school's psychologists are uh, very subtly
Hmm.
doing some checkups on these kids just to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that they are not, uh, in a way, being,
Mm-hmm.
um, how can I, exposed to things that they shouldn't be
Yep.
exposed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just an off topic, sidetrack
No,
here.
that's right. But
Um,
I think it's nice to see that, like, because there are so many, like, even in my classroom, like a kindergarten classroom, we had a program this year. I don't even remember the name, but it's Calm Classroom something, and we had to put it like every day, teach them one of the strategies or whatnot. And well, I used, I think, like, there's a lot of things that we are told to do as a teacher, as teachers, but we have to see what is the best thing that we can do in our classroom
yeah.
with that thing. Um, because of that, like, there are some kids that might benefit just because they would never do that. But for example, I don't like yoga. I hate yoga. When I was a ballerina and they made me do yoga or Pilates, like before ballet class,
Hmm.
it drove me insane. They're like, no, but it's a concentration. Like, I do not concentrate with that. I get upset. It drives me crazy and I
Yeah.
do not like it.
Yeah.
So I would start my day every day very upset because I had to do that thing.
Hmm.
And it's the same thing with mindfulness. Like, maybe that's not my moment. Like, maybe my moment to do mindfulness would be like maybe before going to bed or
Hmm.
something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm forcing all of my kids that, but I have one kid that would sleep every time. He would sleep. And he was the one that would benefit from it because he needed to learn how to calm down. But no, it's like, this. Yeah, seriously, he felt he was beautiful. I wish I had the,
that
I could
that
fall asleep.
ability, right?
Oh goodness, I wish I had it. But that's it. Like, you are forcing people to do something or to believe in something because they might be beneficial for some people, but it's like everything in the classroom. You
Yeah.
have to see who you're going to reach out to that or not, and who's it going to be beneficial to or not.
Yeah.
And not if you're like, hey, you have to be quiet. Hey, you have to listen now. Hey, you have to do what the video is telling you. Like, it's not being mindful. And you're not teaching them anything. Just that they
No.
have to be quiet while they listen to that thing. So,
Yeah.
and I imagine with older kids, it might be even
Even
more
harder.
difficult
Yeah. Yeah.
because that's the thing. Like, if you have the ones that are already struggling, they're going to put themselves in the position that, like, oh gosh, this is for me. No, I don't want to hear that. No, everybody's going to know that it's for
It's
me. And
going to make the anxiety level just
yeah,
skyrocket.
I can see that happening.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. Working memory training. Let's see what it says. Improves
Train.
train tasks, but does not transfer to academic outcomes, ADHD symptoms.
Yeah. So this is something interesting because they were thinking about computer programs that would help, would develop the working memory. And the result just said that yes, it helps them with that specific task. Over time, they improve their scores on that specific task, but it's not actually making their working memory work better.
Because they cannot transfer.
Because they cannot transfer, because it's
Yes.
so specific to one kind of task that you're not
Mm-hmm.
teaching them anything, you're just teaching them how to score better in that specific thing. So it's the same as if you had, for example, and I've seen this, your students are tested on the spelling of whatever 20 words, and then they're
Mm-hmm.
tested in the beginning of the year, and then they are
Mm-hmm.
tested again in the middle of the year, same words, same time, same
Mm-hmm.
exactly the same test, and then
Uh-huh.
they have to do it again at the end of the year. And throughout the year, the kid is asked to just go and copy the word from a
Mm-hmm.
card. So,
Mm-hmm.
on the test, you are going to dictate the word. You're going to say the word and they have to write. And then
Mm-hmm.
throughout the year, you're telling them to copy
Copy
the
it.
word. Completely different skills.
Mm-hmm.
Completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And oh no, but the kids are writing those words better. Yeah, ask them again in 1 year time. Will they be able to actually write those words because
Mm-hmm.
they learned the words or
Mm-hmm.
not. Oh, it's the same thing. I learned something. Is this going to be part of my exam or my test? Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
You study, study, study. You memorize it.
Yep.
You're great in the test. Try to say it again a month later. You forgot
Mm-hmm.
everything about it. Because the way you are storing the information
Uh-huh.
is the wrong way. Right?
So at the MTSS summit I went to, they were talking about the three parts of learning, and which is like in the brain. So it's like when you put the information, how you store the information, and then when you retrieve the information.
Mm-hmm.
And then they ask, which one is the most important one of the three of them? So it's how you put it in, where you store, or how you can retrieve it. And it's the retrieving,
Is it
because the
retrieval?
retrieving is what make it it's
Stick.
what makes it stick. So they're saying that we should spend more time making sure that kids are retrieving what we are teaching than actually teaching new concepts, because if they cannot retrieve, they were talking like, imagine if they are like clips, right? And then to retrieve you have to hang on something so you can keep on retrieving, and then you can hang something that's going to hang on something else, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
going to create those chains of things that you can retrieve.
Yeah.
So it goes along with that.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Weighted vests or weighted blankets. Now, I have never seen this in schools. Have you?
I have.
Okay.
Yes, I have, but it was in a very specific setting. When I did my student teaching for my master's program, I was in a self-contained classroom for um, it was autist kids, and there were six kids that were autists, and it was severe autism. Uh, they were not, most of them were not verbal, and so I did see the teacher. She used the vests with one kid specifically,
Mm-hmm.
and mostly for when he was sitting down to eat,
Okay.
because he wouldn't interact or do anything to eat. Like we would have to actually grab his hand and put it in his mouth, and he would just get super agitated. And then
Mm-hmm.
the vest would just like, it was just a pressure that would keep him down. And also for nap time, some of these kids would have.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna be honest, I never asked much about it. I never thought about using that as an intervention. What does it say as the evidence?
It says that not an evidence-based practice for autistic students. And the quality is low moderate, and it's
Hmm.
leaning towards against the
Hmm.
use of it. Uh, as I said, I have never seen it in schools. What I know a little bit from my research is that um, depending on how they process the sensory
Contact.
input,
Hmm.
they need to cancel one so they can activate the other one.
Hmm.
So in the case that you mentioned, to eat,
Hmm.
the kid needed the vest, so he
Hmm.
would not be overwhelmed with touch. He
Hmm.
would not be overwhelmed with touch. He would uh, enable the touch to
Hmm.
be in the hyper activation.
Hmm.
So he would be okay to deactivate the sensory for taste. So he
Hmm.
would manage eating.
Okay.
But as I said, this one is it's a
Yeah,
little
maybe.
too specific.
Yeah, maybe whoever's listening and has any experience with that could share some input or some ideas with us, because I cannot go further.
Yeah. Okay, next one. It has to do with sensory as well. So, sensory diets and sensory circuits. So, thinking about those specific programs that would provide um, sh- not short breaks, because that is what the alternative would be,
Hmm.
but would provide daily um, sessions where the kids would be exposed to a specific sensory input,
Mhm.
and that would be beneficial in the sense of regulation.
Mhm.
So, evidence says that few positive effects in the small literature, too thin to support as routine provision. So, I feel that if you use that with whole class, you might be just shooting the wrong target, full stop.
Mhm.
Because some kids, and sometimes it's not the kid, sometimes it's the day. Because if you're thinking about sensory input, it can be that one day the kid or the person can be completely okay with noise, and
Mhm.
2 hours later, everything is just too much.
Mhm.
Like, it's impossible to handle. So it's really difficult to control that, right?
Yes.
And here we don't even need to go um, to SEN learners.
Mhm.
I have a case of a kid, my child. He has migraines, just like me. And just today, he was fine the whole day. And mid afternoon, he had something that triggered his migraine. He had to run to the toilet to throw up. And he, I told him he went to sleep to rest a little bit. And then when he woke up, I said, go and take a shower. He was in the toilet, and then
Mhm.
he opened the door. Mom, the water is too noisy. I cannot handle it. So,
Mhm.
see,
Mhm.
what is
Yep.
did you have any experience with sensory diets or sensory circuits?
No, have never.
Yeah. Okay, another the next one is more common. Learning styles and VAK matching. That bit is not so clear to me, but learning
Yeah, what
styles.
is the AK?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Maybe I need to do some research.
Yeah, maybe we need to learn, but I
Uh,
have never heard of it. But that's okay. So let's talk about learning styles that we have
learning
learned. We
styles.
know. Yeah.
I remember watching an episode from Veritasium. That is an interesting YouTube channel. I don't know if you
Mhm.
have ever
No.
watched. They have very interesting videos, and their main idea is to debunk myths.
Mhm.
So they had a whole episode about learning styles and how um, research couldn't still prove if
Yep.
there's such a thing, and it
Mhm.
goes hand in hand with multiple intelligences. So,
Mhm.
what is your opinion about learning styles?
I remember when I first started teaching at Playpen, and we had a whole session on learning styles. Do you remember that? And it was the first time I've heard about it. I don't use it. Like, I don't change my classroom because of different ways that kids will learn, maybe. I do think that some kids benefit more from visuals, some kids are going to benefit more, but it's not, I don't think it's a rule, like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's how I learn, and that's the only way I learn. I like to provide different ways of teaching. Like when I'm teaching a letter, they're going to have like, we are going to build the letter. We are going to listen to the letter. We're going to do different things with the letter. I'm going to create a story with the letter. I'm going to say, have a song for the letter. And we're going to act out the letter. But just because I believe the more ways they are exposed to something, more chances they have of
Actually, learning.
understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's because every time we introduce things in different ways, we're giving them opportunities to learn that thing in a different way.
Yeah.
Because if it's not there yet, if they cannot retrieve it yet, now is a chance for them to find a connection or something that they can cling on so they can actually retrieve that information.
Hmm.
Um, but I would never say, oh no, your child is,
Visual
I don't
learner.
know,
So
it's
let's
visual. Every
just,
time I show, he knows what I'm talking about. Like, I would never use it as an evidence for any of my students learning.
yeah. This video from Veritasium, they just go and they say, because it's easier for some people to learn and to actually absorb things through one um, way. Okay, so for example, I have a very good visual memory. So
Mhm.
whenever I'm in a workshop, for example, or in a course, I need to write things down,
Mhm.
not because I'm going back to it, but because I'm
Mhm.
transferring what I'm listening to visual, because I'm going to
Mhm.
remember things better, because I'm going
Mhm.
to have a visual memory of that on paper
Mhm.
and I'm going to remember that better. So that's
Mhm.
what happens. Because it's easier for you to learn through that medium, you are going to prefer to use that medium. And that
Mhm.
doesn't mean that you can only learn through
That
that
way.
medium.
Mhm.
So that's one of the things. It's not because it's easier for you that that's the only one. And sometimes
Yes.
people try to think that way.
Yes.
And with SEN students, sometimes
Mhm.
parents and specialists, they come and they emphasize, no, I need you to use the visual support because he's a visual learner. I need you to use the sensory
Mhm.
box or things like that because they are going to learn that better. And I
Mhm.
think it's important that we go, okay, sure, that's going to be provided as well. But
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
one
going
strategy.
to not provide
Mhm.
the rest, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Agreed.
the next one is brain gym. So
Mhm.
that goes hand in hand with the working memory training because it's
Yep.
going to make kids better at those specific tasks that they have
Mhm.
to do. So it says here educational claims not supported. Neuroscience framing is pseudo-scientific, right?
Mhm.
So uh, it's what do we call it? Homeopathia. It's homeopath.
Homeopathic.
Yeah,
I think it's homeopathic.
yeah.
Mm.
So it's a way of thinking to
Yep.
learning as if it's a
Mhm.
I'm gonna give you a small dosage of this little
Mhm.
thing, and you're going to build on it. And this is a specific program that kids are going to be using a computer, and they're going to be trained
Mhm.
on that. Um, did you have an
I do think that
experience?
also the reliance on the computer as the training tool might be something impactful because I do believe that kids learn through the connection and through the bonding.
Yeah.
And if, and that's it, like if, when you are connecting to a child and you are actually presenting those, maybe if you're presenting even the same tasks, but you are making connections with different things,
Mm-hmm.
they would be able to make different connections as well than just by being trained to follow a pattern. It's like doing already every day, right? You do already every day, you become very good at being tested at already. And then you go to, I don't know, now we are using Redbird and you have to do Redbird. And on Redbird, you have to drag things around and you have to write the numbers and you have to, then you fail. And it's not because you don't know the math, it's just because you haven't mastered the program yet.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's why we do make kids do whatever program we're doing on the computer at least 15 minutes because they have to get used to the program
Mm-hmm.
and not to the
The
content.
content.
So, yeah,
Yeah. Prioritizing can be tricky
yes.
sometimes. Last one is ear defenders.
Mhm.
So a reasonable adjustment for a specific noise barrier, not an autism intervention. And I think that is really interesting because it can work really well for some kids in specific moments because that
Mhm.
is too much. It's like the weighted vests and the blankets, right? It's a
Mhm.
way
Mhm.
to minimize one input
So they
so they
can
can
focus on another.
focus on another one. But
Mhm.
that doesn't mean that the kid is going to actually benefit from wearing the defenders the whole time. right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because you
Have you ever
might,
had a kid in the classroom that
I
had to use it?
I had two kids that would, whenever they had to do focus tasks, they asked me to use headphones because it was better for them
Mm-hmm.
to actually focus.
Mm-hmm.
But they were not autistic, they were
Mm-hmm.
ADHD, and they realized every single noise that is around is going to distract me. So it's better because I can reduce the input that comes.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just for specific tasks that they had to just sit and go through uh,
So it was
work.
more as a strategy that was taught to them.
Yeah,
So like, hey, when you were feeling that way, this is one strategy. This
that
is
you can
one
use.
thing
Yeah.
you can do for that, other than like this is how you can like benefit from it. It's like one strategy.
No, it's not
I have
here.
never had
Use your
any kid
headphones now because you're going to work better. No, it was coming from them.
from them. Yeah, because I have never had any kid asking for it, and I have never provided any of those. But I do see, like when we are outside, like we go a lot to like the city events, and I see a lot of little kids with those headphones.
Hmm.
And I don't know, I have one of my daughters, she's very sensitive to the environment in every place that we go. Like she, now that she's old enough, she can get to a place that, I don't like the vibe here. I'm not gonna feel okay.
Hmm.
But like we have never put on, I know the sound is something that sometimes is overwhelming for her, but I never use that, like, because I also believe that as a mom, and I'm not talking as a teacher, I'm talking as a mom, that like that's gonna be her life, and I don't want her walking with a headphones everywhere so she can put it there, and like you have to know the places
Okay.
you like going and the
Yeah, yeah,
places
yeah.
you like handling.
Yeah.
So that's me as a mom.
Me as a person, I have developed some strategies and some situations where I actually have to wear earphones or
Mm-hmm.
even a loop plug. I'm using
Mm-hmm.
that because otherwise I'm gonna be uh, com- like drained
Mm-hmm.
too
Mm-hmm.
quickly. So I never
Okay.
wear when I'm with the students. But
Mm-hmm.
if I need to work on the corridors or things like that, when I have to
Mm-hmm.
do focused work, I just put them
Mm-hmm.
on. And if I'm with the plugs, that's okay because they block a lot of
Mm-hmm.
the noise. Uh, but if I'm using my earphones, I have to put a specific kind of music that is
Mm-hmm.
going to just block the
Mm-hmm. The
rest,
rest.
and I can actually
Mm.
focus. And
Okay.
everybody at school already knows, and they when they start talking to me and I show no
Going.
response,
Yeah.
they know that they have to go and touch me or go like this in
Mm-hmm.
front of my face to actually
Mm-hmm.
get my attention because I'm gonna be. And oh, it's so amazing. I It's incredible that I can sit in a very busy and loud corridor, and
Mm-hmm.
in 40 minutes I can design a sequence of 12 lessons. Like, this is going to be each lesson. And I did that. I was like, okay, this is my default now. Whenever I'm outside and I
Uh-huh.
need to do focused work, I'm going to do this because
Mm-hmm.
I get easily distracted by sound. So,
Okay.
one of the things, going back to the first one of the things why I don't use uh, spinners or fidgets that
Mm-hmm.
produce any kind of noise is because I'm going to be distracted by them.
Drive you crazy.
It drives me
Ah,
crazy. Because
I
that's
hate
it,
them
I
too.
cannot filter it. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'm teaching and I just have a kid humming, but
Oh, I
very,
cannot. I
very,
cannot.
very lightly and softly. Like,
Humming and clocking. Like,
nah!
I'm like, hey, and I tell them, I'm like, this is my pet peeve.
Yes.
This is what drives me
Me
crazy.
crazy.
So, like, if you want
Yes.
to do it in any other classroom, you ask the teacher and it's their problem.
Yeah.
In my classroom, clocking is not an option
No.
because you have your things that are not optional. I have mine, and clocking is one of them.
One of the things that to bring awareness of my students was doing that with them. So in the beginning of the year, usually I have either a pen or something that's going to
Uh-huh.
produce noise, and I'm going to teach the lesson making that noise on purpose. And I'm going to ask
Mm-hmm.
them questions about the things that I was talking about, and they,
Mm-hmm.
most of them, would
Get
go
frustrated.
like, I cannot answer because they cannot pay attention. And I say, yeah, that's me. Okay. That's me with every little tiny sound that you make. I'm going to be startled. So please,
That is true.
yeah, but it's interesting, right? When we
Yep.
bring awareness, when we have everybody in the room
Yep.
acknowledging that for some people, it's not a problem. But if
Mm-hmm.
for some or one,
It might be.
if that is a problem, then we have to find a way to make sure that everybody's comfortable and respect everybody's um, way of
Differences.
doing things and
Yep.
being, right?
Yep.
So,
That was really nice talking about um, all these strategies that are we use or not use, or but taking the time to just think about it and what they mean. It's very interesting. I really liked it.
yeah. So I think we're going to end this
Yes.
one already. And tell us, what would you like us to talk a little bit more about? Do you have any very successful experience with some of these or one of these
Hmm.
interventions, or you had a big flunk with some of them, something that really failed, and you realized, okay, so that evidence, that research is just saying, yeah, it doesn't work because of this and
And
that.
if you have a very strong opinion that is opposed to whatever it's there, like get in touch. We would like to know why
We like talking
and
about
talk more about that.
things
Yes.
that we
I want to
disagree.
see the other side. Yes, other point of views are very, very interesting.
Yeah. So thank you very much. See you next
Thank you. Bye
time.
bye.